Yeah.
Hi, and welcome to the stream. Hi, friends. I'm Camille. I am the channel owner of Open for Adventure. We are taking over Hoda's channel today for side quests, which is
Bum,
where
bum, bum.
we, Open for Adventure, partner with our friends from Hoda and sometimes bring in a very special guest
Mhm.
to talk about and play some Dungeons and Dragons. So really quickly, for those of you guys who don't know what this is about, essentially it's a place for us to, in a really informal environment, just talk about things that matter to us in D&D. Sometimes these things are improv concepts like yes and sometimes these things are D&D concepts. Like last time we streamed, we played Leaning into Low Stats, which was really fun. Today we're talking about making combat fun. Um, with me today, I have some amazing, super talented, super awesome people. So let's go ahead and do a round of introductions. And when we do this introduction, you can say your name, you can say whatever you want, plug whatever you want, plug your Twitter, plug your Instagram, plug your Snap, whatever, I don't care. And plus anything upcoming that you're excited about. So we'll go like on the stream, we'll go Mindy, Kate, John, Shadow, Connor, and then Grant. Mindy, will you start us off?
Whew, that's a lot. Hi, I'm Mindy. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Oh, I play Leona on Ofare's Monday campaign,
Woo.
and you can find me on Twitter at mky1713, and that's about it because I'm boring.
Don't talk about my friend like that. That's rude.
Great.
What up, Kate?
Hi. What up? My name is Kate. I am the only Kate this time. You can find me on Open for Adventure. I play Kestra, for better or for worse. You can find me on Twitter and everywhere else important at Very Pale Ale, because I am both very white and very bitter. Yep, it's true. Anyway, that's it.
John?
I'm John, the founder of Chubby Kobold Gaming. We do some gaming on Hoda channel on Monday, and I will be playing in the Wednesday Horsemen of the Apocalypse game. I will be playing the Ratkin Monk 13. And that is all.
I'm Shadow. I'll be playing on Hoda Season 2 as well as Gur Doraka, the Bugbear Wizard, and you can also find me on YouTube as at Botchfight.
Hey everyone, my name's Connor. No real social media here, but you can find me on Sundays on the Hoda channel at Ages Past playing Smokey, the Tabaxi Fire Ganassi Wizard, and on Tuesdays at Hoda Season 1 playing Urger Dropper, the Half-Orc Ranger.
And hello, everybody. My name's Grant Ellis, and I am raspy as can be. I'm the Twitch producer for WebDM's Twitch channel and an independent content creator, having published work with Monty Cook Games, Kobold Press, and 2C Gaming.
And Grant, we're so happy to have you here as our special guest for today. Grant, you and I have been Twitter mutuals for a little bit, interacting a little bit on Twitter, so I knew it was kind of reaching out. I was kind of running a risk of like, hey, come be on my stream. And you were totally down for it, which was super exciting.
It's like, hey, we have this really good show that does really cool things. Would you like to be involved with that? Well, let me check my schedule. Yes.
Yes. And I'm, like I said, Camille. You can find me on Twitter at CamilleDoesDND. You can also find Open for Adventures Twitter at Open4Adventure. You can also find us on Twitch. I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you know how to find Hoda, so give Hoda a follow if you are not following them. We stream our full-time campaign, Open for Adventure, Monday nights at 6:30 Central Daylight Time, and it's a really good time. So today our topic is making combat fun. So let me just start us off by saying I used to hate combat because I am a writer. Okay, I am a writer by heart. So being able to, first of all, the whole idea of rolling die and having a die determine my fate, just the whole concept of D&D was very hard to come to grips with, of like saying, oh no, I can't just like make my character be good at this thing. I can't just make them land their hit. Like I can't just say that they miss. So I think that initially it was kind of a lack of control, which is what makes D&D a game and not a collaborative storytelling experience, which is, it's best of both worlds. But at the end of the day, it's still a gaming system. And so then I moved into more of a narrative storytelling experience for my players, and I still did not like combat. And it's just like I didn't know why. I think a lot of the combat that I've experienced has been like really crunchy, like really slow. People are like looking at their phones. It takes forever. And so I have historically found myself trying to rush through combat and rush through, like, okay, it hits. All right, what else do you do? What's your bonus action? What's your movement? Like, all right, your turn's over. Next person, are you ready? So-and-so, you're on deck. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Of just like kind of like grinding through the gears. Has anybody else had this experience, or is this just me?
I would say what I noticed for myself was when I first started streaming D&D, my background before then is I ran convention games. But when I entered the streaming space, I noticed that combat by default, and I had run thousands of hours of combat, so I was very proficient with the rules, so we didn't have that gap. I understood how to run very tactical combat, so it always felt challenging and engaging to the players, but it felt like it ate up a lot of our economy of time for a broadcast. So, if we had 3-hour time broadcast with 15-minute intro and about a 10-minute outro, another show coming behind us, and another show leading into us, it was a lot of stress because it was very easy for roll for initiative to be said. And I think what combat did, even with being very proficient at it, is it created this sort of added stress because we also wanted to do a show that was very entertaining. And we ran the risk of having largely procedural gaming as opposed to anything more narrative based. Even with evocative descriptions and things of that nature, sometimes there can be a mechanical disconnect. So yeah, we sort of had that stress. Even being a huge fan of combat, we ran into some issue.
What about the rest of y'all?
Especially in other systems, 5e has made it a lot more cleaner and quicker, but even in 5e it's still a little bogged down. But in other systems, especially in things like Shadowrun or something, it can just grind to an absolute halt. You can have your entire game just be combat in a lot of systems. So
Yeah, some of the games tend to be a little rule heavy when it comes to combat, and it makes it more difficult for you to, especially as a GM, when you're trying to do all the descriptions for the combat. If you have a large combat, you have to start thinking about, okay, I am going to say he just swings his sword right now because I need to get through this combat at some point. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to weigh how much you're going to describe and how much you're just going to rush through as well.
I definitely agree with that.
Sorry, go on.
Okay. I mean, it can also be tough as a DM because I find that a lot of both old and new players like to build characters, specifically chosen class and characteristics for combat ability. So if you, say, want to have just a session of full roleplay, because maybe that's just where you are in your story or your plot, and like that one player or possibly more gets a little butthurt because, hey, I didn't get to battle. Like, well, I'm sorry you didn't get to Eldritch Blast this game, but so it's always, you always want to make your players happy and you want to make sure everyone's having a good time. But yeah, it's sort of like it's obviously built into the game very intrinsically. Like a lot of classes, like say Barbarian and Fighter, are very much focused. A lot of their abilities are on the combat aspect of this game, and so without it, those classes become very lackluster very quickly.
My experience with combat was weird because my very first ever tabletop combat that I ever witnessed was Warhammer. So that's what I thought most tabletop combat sessions were like, was, 4 hours for one, 10-second exchange kind of thing with dice going all over everywhere. So when I learned what 5e combat was, it was refreshingly short. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I personally enjoy combat a lot. I enjoy role play more, but I do really enjoy combat. But I agree at the same time with all the points that have been brought up that it tends to be a time waster, and especially when you're on a streaming campaign where people are there for. Not a lot of people are there to see, ooh, I wonder if she uses her divine smite on this fiend or not. Like that's not really why most people watch. So it's definitely tricky to try to find a balance where you scratch the itch and you pay respects to the fact that D&D was originally a combat game. Like that's what it was created to be, and that's what the essential backbone of it is, and trying to find a way to balance that aspect of it with the narrative portion that so many people watch for.
So when I first started playing, Camille was actually my first DM. And we were all new players. So combat was we didn't remember a lot of our stuff. And I know that got very frustrating for Camille. And so, it became mostly out of necessity for time. It had to become, okay, this. Because we didn't know what we were doing. And so coming to, and I am much more, I'm way more narrative than combat. So finding ways to kind of make them work together is something that has been a beautiful challenge adventure. So yeah, get that. Again, that's coming from all new players. None of us knew what we were doing. And it was already taking so long that let's just get it out of the way and get done with it, kind of.
I'm sure. So raise your hand. I think I feel like I'm going to single Mindy out with this question. Raise your hand if you are also a dungeon master. Sorry, Mindy. Mindy's working on it. So I'm sure we all have some pet peeves when it comes to our players doing combat. One of my pet peeves, or one of the things I struggled with, especially when I'm playing with players who are new but not new enough to not know their stuff, is when they lose or they aren't succeeding in combat because they're not using their things. Like they're not, like a paladin not using their divine smite. or rogues not remembering how to get, rogues not knowing how to get sneak attack. So even though I am a very narrative based DM and I love the role play, I think it's because I want, me personally, I want my players to feel like heroes. I want them to feel super strong and powerful and like they're having a good time. Sometimes losing is fun too, but not always. Usually especially when characters are constantly getting beat down, it's just not fun. So I want my players to feel like heroes, and I want them to be engaged and like they're winning. And so when they aren't remembering the things that allow them to do that, that gets really frustrating for me as a DM to hear them be like, why are we losing this battle against these things? And I'm like, well, why don't you do something aside from try and punch them when you're not a monk?
Hey, punching is an economical backup for all characters.
Sure, yeah.
Not all characters.
If you believe hard,
sometimes you don't do damage. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you believe hard.
Sometimes you heal with your punches.
Sorry.
When you get that -3 strength mod, it's like a love tap. It's like, you're doing great, buddy.
You're doing so good.
Oh, thanks. The enemy is inspired.
Oh, jeez.
So am I the only one with some DM combat pet peeves?
I think my only pet peeve is when, depending on the game system you're playing, the game has a structure, and the structure informs a goal. And Dungeons and Dragons does have a root as a combat game. Roughly 80% of all abilities characters get as they stratify through various levels are combat-based. But you'll have maybe players that they're really just burned out on D&D and they want to play a different game, so they sandbag combat. It's no, I'm going to withdraw. No, I'm not going to be invested. It doesn't matter if their character in the fiction, in the world, is proficient, has the abilities to do it, has killed before, they know how to fight. So they sandbag the rest of the party by not engaging in the combat in the name of roleplay, which I think goes against the game structure, slows the game down. If they actually engage the combat, they'd get through that part faster. And that's the only time. But the best way to handle it is to talk with the player and figure out what's going on. And sometimes we've, as other players, we picked up on it as not as a dungeon master. And we know, trust, love, and respect that other player as an individual. We've played lots of games with them for a very long time. So we make a secret pact where we go, you know what, when combat breaks out, we're going to make sure your character never fights. We're going to form a little wall around them. We're going to use all of our abilities because we don't want you to suffer that trauma. Well, they started fighting after that. They were like, come on. You've turned it into this big thing. But, that's really my pet peeve, where they go against the conceit of the game, where combat is an integral portion. There's other games where you don't have to fight. D&D, it's either fight or flight primarily.
For me, it's just people not being ready. I mean, you're not always going to be ready. You're not going to know exactly what you're going to be doing every single time. But if I have to spend 10 minutes for you to figure out what spell you're going to cast this time, and you've seen the initiative order, you know where you're coming up in this, that slows it down for everybody and just lessens the experience for everybody, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, I feel a very similar way, but then whenever I'm a player and something has changed drastically right before my turn, I'm like, I'm that player right now. I don't know what I'm gonna do, especially if you're like a high-level spellcaster and you're like, these spells are very specific. And I felt that this last weekend.
From time to time, things will change, but when you have that player who's always, it's just.
So I think this is one of those things where it's, if you've got a player who's not ready, for me, that feels like we're not engaged. The player's not engaged. And that's the point of why we're, here right now in this moment, is trying to figure out how to make combat fun, how to make it engaging, how to make it so that your players are ready and eager and excited for their turn.
Yeah. One of my shorter campaigns that I do at a local shop, two of the players during the final boss fight decided that when it wasn't their turn, they were going to work on taking over the Pokemon Go gym at the comic shop. So not only were they not engaged, but they were also distracting the other players because they had their phones and were tapping repeatedly over and over. I killed both of their characters. I killed them both. They came back to life because a different character was a cleric, and but I definitely, if you're not going to pay attention, that's your own thing, but you cannot be distracting other people that are trying to play and enjoy the game in the process. So that was my thing. It's one thing to be catching up on stuff if got one ear open, sure, but swipe.
Just that sound is building this irritation in my soul. I'm gonna walk upstairs.
Not great.
Yeah. And go ahead, Connor.
I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, that's not even. I think that's a different level for me of pet peeve. That's just kind of outright disrespect at the table.
I agree. That's why that's definitely a big pet peeve of mine is looking at my players. So luckily on Open for Adventure, they can hide their phone from the camera, so I don't see it, which is smart on their behalf, to be honest, because I will straight up message them, put your phone away. So it's exactly as Blue Hoodie said in the chat. We put a lot of time into this as a DM so that we can all enjoy it. So we want to respect this process. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and ask y'all, what tricks do you have up your sleeve that help you feel like helps you feel like combat is easier, more sustainable, quicker if that's what your goal is, more fun. Who would like to go first?
I can talk a little bit about it.
Awesome.
One of the things I really like when I'm designing a combat encounter, or I'm taking a combat encounter and I'm going to run it at my table, is figure out how there might be personal stakes in the combat. Combat, if the goal is to simply kill the other side, that's kind of played out a little bit. It still can be fun. There's lots of games that are very fun to beat a boss or beat a big scary monster. But what if you have a non-combatant who the party is very attached to? They have emotional investment, they have personal relationships, and you've built that up over time. And the combat is about keeping them safe as they are getting targeted. Something I do as well is it's a little different when playing online. I run a lot of convention games. I don't use a screen. I let people sit around me. There are no notes. I do a pretty good job of handling the cognitive load. But I bring everyone in. I let everyone see every die roll. I also try to appoint a couple of jobs. I like one person to keep track of initiative. I like one person to keep track of damage dealt to monsters. And I appoint one person. They can be the rules lawyer if they have that personality type. It's like, no, your job is to advocate for the rules if you feel we're crossing. Obviously, the dungeon master will have the final say because it's within my purview to have that. But I might forget something, and there's a lot going on. So I try to engage everyone with a logistical role as well as a narrative role. As something else that's very helpful, Devin Rue, the cartographer, I played in a campaign with Devin. Devin never breaks character. That's why oftentimes people say, well, I enjoy role play more than combat. Devin says combat is role play. She will never break character. She's always on. She makes decisions her characters would make while still being very proficient in combat, but maybe adding a little flourish. Those little things help. And when she does that, she leads by example. Like, I became a better player playing with Devin. And that was someone like, I might have been more proficient with, say, the rules or wombo comboing spells and abilities, but she was better at always maintaining, hey, this is still role playing. We can still be our characters. Let's do that as part of the combat. And so that was very rewarding.
I will say I'm going to give a side shout out to Mindy because I feel like Mindy also does a really good job of that. I'm putting her on the spot, and she's got the deer in the headlights. But yeah, I think if you want an example, I guess, I don't know if it's exactly what you're talking about, Grant, but I think if you watch Open for Adventure and any of our combat, you'll see that Mindy also does a really good job of staying in character. It's one of the reasons I admire her so much for that. I made a whole show just to talk about how much I love my best friend, guys.
I love you, but please stop.
What about the rest of you? Does anybody else have any techniques that they feel are unique that help them manage combat, make it more fun?
I like throwing in a lot of environmental things, like a deep river or a pit of fire or spikes or a broken tree that could fall down on your enemies. They're good to use to quicken combat as well, because if you have environmental hazard and somebody's good at pushing, you can quickly get rid of a monster or an NPC that otherwise would have taken a while to fight, and allows them to use things other than just attacks and stuff like that, like acrobatics to climb up and drop the chandelier on their heads instead of just straight up hack and slash.
I like that too. I think that's something that I could be a lot better at. I think I use environmental hazards when my players come up with them, and so I'll reward my players for coming up with really cool things. But I think that's something that I could do a lot better at, is introducing them myself.
I think an important thing about combat it is being able to visualize it, especially when there's more than a few people involved. Because if there's more than 3 or 4 or 5 people involved, it's especially when you get to the higher levels of the more difficult enemies and more complicated turns. things it's easier to get lost in the shuffle. And I think that, and a lot of people already do this. This is not a new concept, but it's definitely one that I think helps, is having the visual reminder of the initiative order, having visuals for where you are in relationship to everyone else and where you are in relationship to the monsters involved and the environment involved. And when you give people these things to look at, it gets them more engaged because they start thinking about what they could be doing in retrospect with everyone else. And so it's less of a, I moved my character to this enemy and I hit him. It's more of a, what will my teammate be doing that I could support? How will they support me? How can I make sure that this teammate does not get flanked? How can I, so, and this is not a new thing, obviously. This is part of, it came with the original game, with the minis and the maps and the initiative order and things like that. But that's definitely something that I think is a little bit undervalued for the engagement that it brings to battle. And I think that that's definitely something to keep in mind when people are less engaged, is to give them more things to be engaged with, so that they spend more time actually thinking about and doing.
Can I speak to that? Because I am very visual. When we went to Gen Con, Camille actually had a map made for me because she knew I can do the theater of the mind, especially for smaller things, and I'm all about that. But for me, I'm very visual, and it's easier for me to stay engaged in some of those things that Kate talked about, like, sure, I might know who I'm going to attack, but in relation to what else is going on, which can then make it become more narrative, that I second that. As a teacher who knows that people have different learning styles, I also second that. So, yeah, I agree.
Because I've played so many different types of games, a lot of other systems introduce things that you could do to make combat a little bit more interesting. And something I have tried to do is what Camille was saying, and that's allow my players the ability to introduce something to the environment. There are game systems out there, the latest Star Wars game being one of them. You can introduce with your actual die rolls. You could say, I'm introducing the fact that there's a cart of rolling fruit coming down the hill, things like that. Then a lot of systems are doing really good jobs at that, and systems that allow for not just physical combat, but some systems treat social as a combat as well, which can be really fun.
Definitely. Does anybody just want to speak to some cool tricks that they have that they use to make combat more bearable, more fun?
What I've started to get into more lately is because I DM a game on Sunday before my other game, and I have some people who are rather experienced, in some cases more than me, with the different editions of D&D and all that stuff. So my advice is to start looking for outside resources for monsters in combat. And also just adjust to what is already there. Change their types of damage. Make a salamander instead be centered around cold damage, or that sort of thing. I'm actually going to put into the chat a Tumblr that has really helped me out. It's just D&D 5e homebrew Tumblr, and it has a lot of really cool stuff. And also, don't be afraid if you're in combat and say that everyone's dice are totally on fire except for the DMs, and it looks like this combat that you were planning to make super, super amazing is just about to be over in less than 2 rounds. And so what I did, I had my characters came across this well, and inside of it was an ooze. And so it got a surprise round. It missed both times, both of its attacks, and then I was going up against 4 level 10 characters. And so what I decided to do kind of mid-combat is to make it a giant ooze. And so instead of being just a 10 by 10 square, I had 10 foot square come out of the well. There was still another 10 foot, then I put another 10 foot token on it. and I kept on adding and adding and adding until it was a 10-foot by 50-foot long gel thing. And each 10-foot token got its original 2 attacks. And that made my players actually have to sweat a little bit. And they were totally freaking out as just more and more of this thing just came coming out. And that made me happy and made them super happy because it actually made them grind and think, and they totally just reevaluate the situation. And it wasn't going to be like that before, but they were killing me really quickly, so I decided to make it a little more interesting for everyone.
Definitely. I have most definitely fudged some numbers on some monster hit points, but in both directions. In my time as a DM, I don't like to do it very often, but it's definitely happened. Recently, I want to talk about something I found last night on Twitter. It's from the Dungeon Dudes, and they put out a video about 5 simple house rules for better combat in Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm going to summarize them really briefly. The first one is going to be a rule for criticals. So I think rules is written, you roll 2 die, or if your crit is, if you roll a natural 20 on an attack roll, you get your original die, plus you get to roll that same die again. Some people I know on Critical Role, they double the die. I don't like to do that personally, because what if you roll a 1? Then that sucks. And other times, what if you get a critical hit and you roll snake eyes, or you roll a 1 and a 2 or a 2 and a 2, and you're like, oh man, that was a really shitty critical. Their suggestion is to roll your regular die and then take the maximum damage of that die and add them together. So if it's a long sword, it'll be a D8, you roll a D8, you get a 4. Then you add an 8, which is a 12. Then you add your modifier, which might be a 4, which is a total of a big number.
16.
Thank you. Now they fully admit that this gives some people like rogues and paladins who get to add things after their critical hit an extreme advantage. But they brought up a point that I really appreciated. First of all, my mind says rogues get 1 attack per turn, or they get to add sneak attack to 1 attack per turn. And if they get a natural 20 on that, then you know what? Let them double that damage die. Let them one-shot snipe the enemy. If a paladin wants to use their 4th level spell slot to add this divine smite on, let them go ahead and do their max damage. I know I've spoken to some other DMs in the meantime who have been like, no, that's way too unbalanced for me. I would never do that, etc., etc. What do y'all think about that one?
I think if you're worried about the amount of dice that are being rolled, then you're thinking about the encounter incorrectly. Mm-hmm. Because over time, there's this concept of damage per round. Whichever side does more damage per round on average will probably win the combat. So there's going to be times when people hit for massive damage. We had a screenshot floating around on WebDM where, my 2nd level character hit for something like 49 points of damage. It just happened to crit, and we took a picture of the roll 20. I was like, sometimes those paladins just blow the boss fight out of the water. It was a fight we weren't supposed to get in. To comment to Blue Hoodie in chat, but why add more monster HP just to drag out the combat? Sometimes it ends early. We don't necessarily need to adjust the numbers because we want it to fill a certain time quota. I mean, there might, based on sort of the mood that you're going for, but sometimes things blow it out of the water. Other times, they come up low. I think, just sort of think about the type of game that you want to play, and it may or may not disrupt pacing. I mean, it's kind of fun when something blows something out of the water, but I wouldn't worry about the amount of dice being rolled, or if it happens to be high. Monty Cook has a great quote in the Cypher System rulebook in the game mastering section. That's a game not about combat, it's about exploration and discovery. And he designed a lot for Dungeons and Dragons. He goes, look, there's going to be combats where your players obliterate your boss in a round. Be thankful you have very clever players, that we're fortunate to do that. So think about the overall game that you want to play. So that's sort of where I think about it. It's like sometimes, even if it's weighted to favor players that get to do that from time to time, it's not going to happen every time. And you can always design the encounter to adjust for that. maybe they hit a little harder. So those are sort of my thoughts about it. I kind of don't worry about it if it's going to be more dice.
I definitely, I like that quote. Who did you say wrote that?
Monty Cook.
Monty Cook. I'm only taking some notes over here. Don't mind me.
Whenever there's a house rule, I always make sure that the players know that it's going to go both ways, though. Like, if you're going to be doing that kind of damage for you guys, the monsters are going to do that too, and you might just get one-shotted. So,
Yeah.
I personally don't do flanking in my combat. I don't do flanking in my system at the moment, which brings me to another one that they do, which is instead of giving advantage, you get a +2 to your attack. Or if there's 3 people flanking, it's a +3. Because I just have found that especially when you have a lot, like I just think of action economy personally. Just the being in it. Hold on, let me get my words. Flanking bonuses give things like pack tactics a little bit less value, because that's essentially what it is in a way. It's kind of like pack tactics, except for on opposite sides. And while there is a benefit, I think, to having that bonus there and giving your players permission and freedom and encouraging them to think more tactically in their combat, I'm not sure if giving them advantage for flanking is the way to do that. So personally, I don't implement flanking. I know a lot of DMs do, though.
She doesn't implement flanking because she really likes minions, and if all of her minions had flanking, her characters would die real fast.
I like it if we're playing with meter hexes instead of 5-foot squares, and it's just the one square in the back. My dungeon master is very old school. He's been playing since 1979. He started with the fantasy trip, so he's very specific on combat. A lot of homebrews that, as Shadow pointed, it goes both ways. But it makes it a lot harder to get into the flanking position. So I think with meter hexes, I'm okay with it. But I also agree where advantage and disadvantage in 5e kind of, sometimes it takes all the fun out of the game, where it's like, straight roll.
Yeah, the minusing AC is from another edition. I just can't remember which one. And I've always liked that rule much more than flanking. I do not implement flanking in my games either.
Yeah, I watched that video, and that was their like 3rd or 4th rule that said that they talked about flanking. And flanking is an optional rule in D&D. You don't have to implement it as a DM. It's not rules as written. But their idea of adding a +2, I had me starting to consider maybe doing flanking. But like Shadow said, reminding my players that it goes both ways. And in my games personally, unless I feel very, very strongly about this new rule, I don't implement rules without running them by my players. Just putting that out there. I'm not like, all right, guys, this is exactly how it is going to be now. My players always know that it's coming, and they know it's going to benefit, but it's going to go both ways.
So another thing, going back a topic to a certain degree, is how to speed up combat. And one of the things that I've taken from the game system 13th Age is, and I love 13th Age, I can't speak enough about it, but what they have is they have something called mooks. And if you have a large group of, let's just say, kobolds, because I'm partial to kobolds, you have like 20 kobolds, what they do is they basically give them almost like 1 health. So your fighter that runs in with his 2-handed sword could potentially kill 3 with 1 swing.
So that's like minions in 4th edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Minions have all of the same stats. They don't have legendary actions. They don't have any of that stuff. They just all have 1 hit point. And that definitely, they also talk about that. And that's something that, so a little bit of my background, I started playing D&D 5th edition. However, I found, I'm a baby. I'm a newbie. I, however, ran a campaign offline for my players. Mindy and Kate were in, and it ended up being they were chosen by the Raven Queen to save her against Orcust, and which is, I don't know if you guys know, there's a set of 4th edition modules that have you going and you fight Orcust and you fight his minions essentially all the way up to actually going through and saving the Raven Queen. This is like their epic tier level adventures. And so whenever I started, all this to say, when I got the 4th edition module, I couldn't read it. Like I didn't understand what any of these stats were. So I had to do a lot of research. What's bloodied? What's a minion? And those things I think are actually really cool. Like bloodied, the bloodied condition of having half your hit points. Just when a creature has half hit points, I thought bloodied was this crazy thing, and I didn't seem to understand it first. Or having minions or these kinds of things. So I've learned a lot from going back and looking at the older editions, and now I'm kind of seeing why everybody's always referencing, oh well, in 4E they did this, in 4E they did that, etc., etc. Because I think there's a lot to be learned from looking at those older editions.
Oh, and that's in life itself, right? If you can't take some input from something else, and you're saying that your way is the only way to do it, then you're missing out on a lot.
Does anyone
go ahead?
Does anyone use call shots? I know that's from a couple of older editions. I occasionally allow that in my games.
Isn't that where they say, I want to try and blind them, and then you give them some sort of penalty?
Usually it's like +4 AC if you're going for the eyes, or +2 AC if you're just going for the head, and it implies a condition, like blinding them or making them drop their weapon.
I would be happy to do that. That sounds amazing. Or like I've seen it done as well. I think I saw it on Critical Role once or twice, or I've seen it on other games. I don't think I've ever had my players be like, I'm gonna blind them.
They're real cute because you have done that for us. Not on our streaming campaign, but in our online campaign, you did that for us.
Oh well, Mindy remembers better than I do.
I will allow situational called shots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if say they have a weapon that you're trying to disarm or something like that.
Yeah, or the bad guy's getting away and he's got the scroll in his hand, and you want to shoot the scroll out of his hand.
Yeah,
I'll rule of cool it, but normally I will not allow called shots.
Here's a question from the chat. I often see DMs complain that their players are unwilling to flee or can't acknowledge when they're outmatched, and that consequently leads to either a TPK or an unplanned you've been captured outcome. How do you communicate with players, hey, you may be losing here, and that retreating is an option?
Sometimes they don't listen, Camille. I'm not talking about you, but...
I have had that problem a few times. When it's an encounter they can't win, I let them know that we're going into a skill challenge, so that they're not going to try and do combat anymore. Instead, you got to roll to run away properly. How are you going to get away? Are you jumping over boxes? Are you knocking down a cabbage cart or something? By switching it to a skill challenge, they know that this is no longer combat.
I think that's an interesting idea, but how do you convince do you just kind of instill it, like you're just like, all right, you guys are losing this fight, or do your characters initiate it, or what?
If it's a fight that they cannot win, like I know that they're going to be surrounded by too many guards or something like that, I'll initiate the skill challenge. But if it's a fight that they were supposed to be able to fight, I will let them decide on their own whether or not they're going to die in a final stand or run away.
Yeah, there was a Blue Hoodie answered, I like to kill NPCs that are on their side to demonstrate power.
I
don't know if I'd go that far.
He's kidding.
If it was planned, I would do that.
He's totally serious.
But to go halfway on that idea, a show of power that is just very much obviously beyond the character's ability, like say like a spell that's like 3 levels above whatever their caster has, and like not even doing it seriously, just like, oh, I can do this. What do you think?
Like a power word kill?
Yeah, just like they just grab like a bird out of the air and just power word kill it. Just like throw it at the player's feet.
Like with on O4A 2 sessions ago, we started a session with combat. And well, we started a session with combat, and we were supposed to have 2 other characters and they, for unforeseen reasons, were not able to join us. But we still had established that that was the enemy that we're fighting. And so rather than having 6 characters fighting this enemy, there were 4. And it was very quickly established that the enemy
Oh
could,
no.
For the
That's-
record, I think y'all could have taken him, but whatever.
sure.
I thought we were clever in our running away.
I thought-
Yes. That was the first time we ran away from combat.
That's
Second
the
time.
first time that spell actually landed
Was
when
it
it was
the
supposed to.
second time?
The
So
orcs, yeah.
Oh, the orcs.
So yeah, to answer your question, Phantom Rollbooth, for me, that's not an issue with my players currently, but I do know what you're talking about of when players are like, they're just determined to go down with the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Grant, what do you think? What do you think about that kind of situation?
go down with
I
the
think
ship
it
going down.
depends on a couple things. So the first, it depends on the relationship you have with the players and the type of game that you're running. Are you playing a game where you openly discuss what I would refer to as the fictional positioning with the game master, where it's like, hey, time out. Is your intention for this encounter for us to run? Because I need to talk about this as a player. You might have that kind of back and forth, which breaks immersion, but sometimes it helps immersion and helps the game, because a game ending suddenly when it hits the brick wall of everyone is dead and unhappy also breaks immersion. But you also might be making decisions from a player or a character perspective, which is what I do a lot of times, where I explain my character would go down with the ship right here. They're not afraid of this thing, and they're willing to die. And even if that means stalling the monster so everyone can get away, because of the type of character they are, they're perfectly content with their fate. And there's been times where every other player felt we were overmatched psychologically. The description of the dungeon master, the amount of damage that the amount of damage that was being dealt. But I'm keeping track of, I referred to damage per round. I'm like, we're dishing it out too, and one side's going to wilt, and I'm willing to stand here and take, a few more swings because I think we can bring this thing down. It kind of feels like we might not survive. Some of us might die, but we might just defeat this thing. Let's give it a shot.
Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Well, especially, it's one of those things, never ask someone to do something that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. So it's like, I'll stand on the front line and I will tank this thing, even though I don't like using the word tank in a tabletop role-playing game. But it's like, I'm willing to invite the challenge because we're pretty scary too. But, it's one of those things where sometimes too, just as I'm willing to say, hey, I'm willing to go down with the ship, I also tell people as a player, I'm like, I think you need to know the math here. We're not going to win. We're all going to die systematically one at a time because we're overmatched. Just the metagaming math. We're probably not going to make it unless we have some sort of ace up our sleeve that we don't know about or are accounting for.
Especially if, like we talked about earlier, the characters have a stake in the combat. If you've made them emotionally invested. I think the question kind of, I can see it coming from 2 scenarios. One, where it's just a bunch of people who want to play combat games. They want to fight monsters, and they're not going to retreat because this is just a game. But another scenario where we've set it up to where dying is the best next best option to losing the fight or to retreating.
And I believe as a GM or DM or whatever you want to call yourself, I prefer the term storyteller. As a storyteller, it's also upon you at the beginning of that game or that campaign to really contact and communicate with your players like in the beginning of Storm King's Thunder, it says, please let your players know there are encounters that they will need to be running away from.
The very first encounter in Hoard of the Dragon Queen is against a blue dragon. You're expected, a blue dragon is terrorizing Greenus, and you are expected to run into battle and try to start to save this town. Like, as a first level character, there's no way. So it's important to, especially if you've got new players who are like, oh, it's a dragon, how hard can it be? This is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
this is what we're supposed to do.
Let me ask you this though. Something that I have put into like my game sometimes, and that my players have found frustrating for combats, is when I make enemies that are very smart, and for instance know how to use, like how to run away or to retreat just beyond their range, but the enemy's range is superior. And when you can tell your players are getting frustrated, what do you guys think you should do? I mean, you're working within the lines, like for instance, this thing was the Aboleth, which was one of my big bads. I've been building up to it for a very long time. And Aboleths are supposed to be about the smartest things you can come up against. And it wasn't going to leave the water to make it itself an easy hit. And my players didn't want to enter the water because they were in its lair. And so they were getting frustrated because rounds were starting to build up, but they hadn't killed this thing because no one was willing to go in the water. And so what do you guys think when you can tell your players are getting frustrated, but you know that this creature would not willingly go to them to get itself killed?
It's hard. It sucks to be outsmarted. It sucks to suck. I'm kidding.
Is there any... I'd probably throw him a bone and be like, okay, you with the highest intellect, maybe the highest nature, who has studied and maybe heard stories. That's the other thing people might say, well, they've never encountered it before. That's fine. Every citizen of Greece knows the answer to the Sphinx's riddle, because some things that are legendary are common knowledge. It might be like, you're going to make a roll with advantage, and there's a chance you might know something, because you as a player maybe aren't smart enough tactically, but dagnabbit, your character might have, they might be more willing to engage this. They're seeing this scene with different eyes. So I might throw them a bone and be like, look, if you roll, I'm going to maybe make a suggestion. With that said, too, I fully back Camille up. Having facilitated both the D&D World Championships twice, RPG Sports, and the Turtle Party Kill Tournament, sucks to be outsmarted. You know, it's like, this is sort of how you learn.
And I also think it depends on whether or not it's a one-shot or an ongoing campaign as well, right? If it's an ongoing campaign and you have these players and you're always around with them, you know, there's usually backstory hooks that could potentially help you out in that fight too. So something you could potentially just throw in.
To answer Blue Hoodie's question that came about clever ways to describe resistances and vulnerabilities or damage effectiveness, what I typically do, and this actually came from RPG Sports. RPG Sports is really just PvP, nothing but combat. Could be very boring, tedious, and repetitive. But what I did is I took the thesaurus and I had synonyms for every damage type, everything, you know, so I could always come up with like a creative way to, you know, instead of just piercing damage, you know, you puncture it, or, you know, you sear it with fire damage. And I try to come up with all these fluid ways. What I do is I like to use that expanded vocabulary to add additional emphasis, as well as describe and garnish the scene to help them figure out, is this less effective, more effective? There's a epistolary game, a letter writing RPG that's a solo RPG called Quill, where you actually have the choice between superior or inferior words based on your die roll. So I like to get my characters or my players acclimated to this idea of superior descriptions and inferior descriptions. If I'm describing something using more evocative language, perhaps they are performing at a higher level or using more clever tactics.
Yeah. So in order for describing like damage effectiveness, you really have, in my mind, two different types. You have the purely physical kind, which is generally weapons. And so for that, you sort of have the idea of perhaps like, say it's, I don't know, what has resistance? I don't think a dragon does, but let's say it does. But like the warrior's axe plunges into the scales, but you see sparks fly, and there is just this merest slight gash as a result. and you just sort of you word paint essentially, and you can kind of do the same thing with like all the rest of it are just different types of energy, which is generally with magic, and you just you kind of word paint, but you try to avoid that your damage appears less effective than you thought, which I feel is sometimes the go-to.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of clever ways to describe it. And I think that comes with practice of being really intentional. Grant, that's a really good idea about the thesaurus for damage types. I actually wrote that down because I'm going to start doing that now. Because I use a thesaurus on a daily basis when I'm writing damage types. I don't want to use the same word over and over again when I'm writing. In fact, one of my writing partners, it's her like biggest pet peeve whenever she uses the same word twice in a paragraph. Like she just can't do it, and it kind of got me into more doing it. And I realized I become rote about my combat descriptions sometimes of like, oh, that hits, oh, that misses, oh, that whatever, like piercing damage, slashing damage, whatever. So that's definitely something that I would like to start incorporating into my games. We are actually at time for the chat portion of the show tonight. We are going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to put some of this into action with a very brief one shot. I wonder what y'all are going to do in this one shot. Probably just talk.
It's a debate.
Shopping trip.
Shopping.
Oh, on time.
How to barter.
We're all going to play Grant's pet peeve and all avoid combat.
Yes.
Only when everyone else is in it.
So who's going to be the one?
Yeah.
We don't have charm person ready, right?
Yeah.
Avoid all combat.
Well, only if they're humanoid. So we're gonna take our quick break. While we're on break, before we go to break, I want to give a really quick shout out to Open for Adventure's official sponsor. That's Campaign Coins. They are absolutely amazing. I don't know if any of you have gotten the honor or blessing to meet these fine folk, but they are some incredible people. Please go follow them on Twitter at Campaign Coins. They are absolutely fantastic. Their stuff is high quality. I got to meet them for the first time officially at Gen Con, and they gave me this fancy pendant. They also make pins. They've got some Devin Rue stuff if you're into that kind of thing. I don't know if you guys know her, but she's kind of like famous. They have her pins and also her compass rose for your personal D&D maps. I absolutely love Campaign Coins. Thank you so much, Bodgefight, for putting their link in the chat. We are going to be right back with some more of Open for Adventure side quest. We will be right back.
Oh baby, I love your madness. It's so incredibly beautiful. Oh, you shine like gold, so selfless to all, and wild like an animal. Some would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know, and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. Oh, baby, I love your madness. It's so incredibly beautiful. Oh, you shine like gold, so selfless to all, and wild like an animal. Some would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know, and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. The limit of love is endless, I know. Just do what you want with me. Yeah, I want it all. Could care less the cost. I give you my everything. Some would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know, and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. And give me your freedom. Whoa, yeah, me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. Oh, baby, I love your madness. It's so incredibly beautiful. Oh, you shine like gold, so selfless to all, and wild like an animal. Some would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know, and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. The limit of love is endless, I know. Just do what you want with me. Yeah, I want it all. Could care less the cost. I give you my everything. Some would say I'm insane in the right in a way, but I just love to play in your fun and your games. Always hungry for more, that's just how I was born. Take me somewhere I don't know and give me your freedom. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium, life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces, yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium.
And welcome back. We are open for adventure, taking over Hoda for our side quest channel. We just spent the last hour or so talking about how to make combat fun, kind of tips and tricks that we use to make this part of the game more exciting and more engaging. So now we're gonna play a little one-shot. So I have asked all of these fine folk to come up with a third level character. And this is the first time we are revealing some of them to each other. I haven't looked at any of them. So this is going to be fun. Why don't we go ahead and, let's go ahead and go through and tell us whatever you feel like telling us about your character. Whatever is relevant, whatever you all know each other. Whatever your friends would know about you. Mindy, why don't you start us off?
Oh, so my name's Malia. I am a tiefling cleric. I forgot what I was for a second. It's fine. I'm very smart, obviously. I don't remember what I look like either. So, here we are. World changed. Second ago. Oh, no. You wouldn't actually know I'm a tiefling at first glance, except I have horns. So, those kind of give me away. But first glance, I might look like a very pale human with just dark black hair. I don't really know what else I would say about myself. I'm very quiet.
Your name is
Pray a
Malia.
lot.
Yeah, it should be right next.
All right.
It is Malia.
Caitlin, why don't you go ahead and...
Hi. My name is Ven. My soul is already sold, so I figure I'm going to have a good time while I still can. And, if I get some extra sparkles and magical things along the way, that's great. But I'm really, it's the next 100 years or so having a wonderful time, and then the rest of forever in eternal torment. So, it's just going to be a good time.
What is your class and race?
Sorry, I am a warlock. I'm a fiend warlock. I have a very, very nice book that she was kind enough to give me. And I am a high elf, so I have a long time to have a good time. And I'm very, very excited.
We are also excited for you.
Yes.
Connor?
Well, hi everyone. My name is Dirk Dingus. I'm pretty unremarkable, I'll be told. But it's sure nice to meet all of you. I can't wait to talk and get to know everyone.
What is your race and class, Dirk Dingus?
Dirk is a human, and he is also a warlock. This light, though, these glasses may not stay so much reflected light.
Well, we are happy to have you, Dirk. Shadow.
I am Baloo. I am a paladin of freedom and song. I'm 1 level bard, 2 levels paladin.
Race.
Human.
Beautiful.
They're a very cheery, tall, portly fellow.
Beautiful. John, go ahead and describe your character for us.
I am Nintar Amarafir, and I am a high elf wizard. And I forget exactly why I'm here, and I tend to forget a lot of things. But yeah, I will do my best to help the people I'm traveling with, if these are still the people I'm traveling with.
Very good. And Grant.
I'm playing Bad News Benson. He is a forest gnome pirate. You would know him for confiscating every turkey from every farm, wild and domesticated, if there is such a thing, and selling them at double the price, for which he did a stretch of prison time, but managed to get out under mysterious circumstances. And he is a 2nd level rogue, 1st level fighter. And typically, if you're communicating with him, he just makes like fart noises, sticks his tongue out, or gobbles like a turkey, because he is what we call a nuisance.
A nuisance?
Nuisance, yes.
We're
Good.
gonna have a good time.
I'm so done with all of you already.
You and me, Benson. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be a good time.
Bleh.
Oh my god.
If you guys in Zoom, if you guys know how to change your names, you can put like your name and then also your character's
Okay.
name to help everyone out.
So we have
Better
Malia.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead,
That's
Shadow.
Better idea, but I just put sticky notes with everybody's names on the screen.
So we have Malia, the Tiefling Cleric. We have Ven, the High Elf Warlock. We have Dirk Dingus, the Human Warlock. We have Baloo, the Human Palabard. We have Ninter, the High Elf Wizard, and Benson, the Forest Gnome Rogue Fighter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So, first things first, I need everybody to roll a d6.
Oh god.
And hold up your hands with what number you got.
Oh!
For Dirk, 5 for Malia, 4 for Benson, 5 for Baloo, 2 for Ninter, and 6 for Ven. Alright, I need Baloo, Dirk, and Malia to all roll again.
alright.
4 for
Dirk.
Dirk,
Arr.
1 for Baloo, and 6 for... Okay.
Like why you laughed like that?
Alright, so... Adventurers. You have all been traveling together for quite some time. You are a ragtag group. Sometimes you forget how you even came to be an adventuring party. But nothing can separate you. Not now. Not after the trials and tribulations that you have encountered and overcome together. Sometimes by the skin of your teeth. Sometimes in overwhelming victory. Your latest decision has been to infiltrate a dwarven settlement with a volcano in the center. You have been invited into the dwarven settlement to help them take care of some problems that they've been having, to get rid of some creatures that they just don't feel like dealing with. However, tragedy has struck, especially in the hands of this fateful adventuring party. Baloo, Ninter, and Dirk. The three of you have decided in the very middle of the night that you don't need the rest of your party for this. This is so easy. You could take care of this in your sleep. In fact, while you are on watch, the three of you go to this, the edge of the Dwarven settlement, into the rocky belly of this volcanic beast together. And you come to this, what is essentially open cavern. You all look up and you can see smoke and blackness coming up or rising up towards the sky is what you assume it to be. There's a rocky shelf all the way around, and in the very center of this is a pit of molten magma and lava. Fire comes up from the ground. Magma threatens to seep through this rocky molten shelf. Baloo, Dirk, and I said Ninter.
Mm-hmm.
The three of you, weapons drawn, stances ready, begin to walk out, looking around. And that's where we're going to cut to the other three. Benson, Ven, and Malia.
Already very annoyed. Not even awake yet.
Do any of you have a passive perception higher than 12?
No.
I have at 12.
Yeah, 12.
16? Benson and Malia, the two of you kind of blink yourselves awake. You're staying in a large room with plenty of cots and blankets and that kind of thing. And it's very warm in here, especially this close to the magma. Benson, the first thing that you notice is that your friends are gone. Malia kind of tussles awake a bed over from you.
Point in motion to the missing party members and kind of glance to see if their belongings are here. I assume they are not. I'm kind of shrug.
What are you doing?
Charades.
God. Okay. I will look around. do I also notice?
Yeah, I pointed with my
Oh,
hand.
you pointed. Okay, I thought you were just looking. Okay. God. Were we taking watches inside? They're outside. Maybe they just couldn't sleep. No, this is not. I will go see if they're outside.
Yeah, I'm going to take a bucket of water that we might use to douse out any fire or anything and kind of wake Ven up with it. Just kind of.
Oh, okay.
It's just Ven who is left with you.
Yeah, to wake Ven up with it while.
I don't know if that. Okay. All right. I'm going outside.
Benson! Where you? I was
Efficiency.
You could have. I was.
Awake and shower, same second.
Both of you shut up. My friends are gone.
Yeah, we gotta go find them, friends.
I don't know where they are. Do I see any tracks or anything? Do I see anything?
Why don't you make a survival check?
Helpful? Good survival.
Mhm.
15.
Okay. It's not super hard to find their tracks because this area is pretty dusty, dingy, dirty, kind of not really swept very well. So their footprints are as clear as day, even in this underground cavern.
Oh,
They are leading towards where you know this massive cavern to be, where they have been the dwarves have been having all of these problems.
Why? I'll point them out. I'm just gonna literally just point.
I follow them walking cartoonishly with my head too close to the ground and just kind of like a hound dog. I follow the
He's gonna hit
track.
his head on a rock that way.
How is he
I'm
still
gonna laugh
alive?
when he hits his head on the rock that way, but he's gonna hit his head on a rock that way.
No, never happened. 16 past perception.
Oh, goodness.
He says these things. I never know what they mean.
I never know what anything he says means, ever.
Sometimes they make sense. He says poop a lot, and usually there's actual poop involved, so you never know.
Just start walking.
Okay. you begin to creep along. It's about a 10-minute walk, 5-minute walk. It's the closer you get, the hotter it gets, the steamier it gets, until you start to hear the broiling from this cavern, from the magma within. Now, it takes some time, but you do reach this shelf that I was speaking of earlier. You step out from this tunnel, this corridor. You step out and you see bright light as the magma roars to life beyond maybe a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 to 50 foot shelf between you and the magma. As soon as you step out, you see a sight before you. You see small beetles roaming. You see 3 massive, what are they called again? What you all know to be fire snakes. These massive, these medium elemental snakes with tendrils of spine stuff. Gosh, my descriptions are great today, guys. They are glowing hot red from the inside out as they channel this energy from this volcano. And lo and behold, you see your 3 friends.
God.
Each of them are tied, hands behind their backs. All 3 of you are are down a third of your hit points.
Ooh.
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 And they are being held by these 2 cultists. Well, you assume to be looking cultists. These humanoids who stand with your friends. One of them holds Baloo and Nintar. One of them holds both Nintar and Baloo. The other one holds your dear sweet dear Dirk Dingus. And they stand right on the edge of where the magma comes up and the rock ends. How about I show you what y'all see?
Yeah. I mean, I'm here for a good time. This looks like a good time. I'm here for this.
All right. Oh, I can't see Dirk. Let me get Dirk over here. All right. Let's transition over to this map.
No.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh buddy!
Now,
Okay.
I would like everybody to roll initiative, please.
All right.
Oh buddy!
I get a plus. Oh, I'm gonna...
My -1 modifier.
Oh, okay. No man.
Do you just have
I'll
just
call
calling us, or do we?
I'll call
Okay.
for him. Did anybody roll above a 20?
I rolled a 20, not above.
Okay.
Ooh.
Benson got a 20.
Nice.
Did anybody roll 15 or above?
16.
18.
16.
Who would like to go first between Dirk and Amira, or Dirk and Ven?
Ben.
You want Ven to go first?
Yeah, Ben can go first.
Oh, thank you. I was gonna rock paper scissors it for you.
10 to 15. No? 5 to 10? 5
No, 5.
for our dear Nintar.
Yep,
And
5 as
Baloo.
well.
For Baloo.
Baloo as well, yeah.
Who would
5
like
as
to
well.
go first?
Baloo can go first.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. Something that I like to do to make combat faster is I like to take 10 plus the dex modifier of the creature and put them wherever that puts them in initiative. That's my trick. One second, y'all. So go ahead and describe to me, Ven, Malia, and Benson, what y'all are doing as y'all enter.
Walk in.
Sin would be following the tracks. As soon as he sees the scene, he'd quickly assess the situation, and he's going to try to get in position to take out a cultist.
Okay. Malia, what'd you say?
I probably walk in, also quickly assess, roll my eyes, say shit, and bring out my warhammer.
Okay. Benson, you're gonna start us off.
All right. So I'm assuming that is Dirk Dingus with that beautiful token on the right side of the
Yes.
map.
So you have Dirk with the single cultist, you have Nintar and Baloo with the other cultist to the left. And directly in front of you is one fire snake, one giant fire beetle. You see to the either side of you there are giant snakes and fire beetle. They're about 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 feet away from you on either side. You can't see them on the map, the one on the right on the map yet. But they're coming, and they do see you.
How close is the cultist on the right side with Dirk?
From you, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 feet.
Okay. I would like to walk up to that cultist and shove him into the magma.
All right. Why don't you make a shove attack for me?
19.
All right, busting out Dreamcatcher. Natural 19 plus.
Oh.
Dreamcatcher's her DM dice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
They roll
that's
real
a +0, so it's
Tie.
it's a tie. So I think the rule is if a check is contested and it's a tie, it is the same as it was before the roll. So you're not successful in pushing him
Okay.
off.
Fair. So then what I'll do is I will provoke an opportunity attack using my cunning action to dash and move back to my starting position.
Okay. All right. Does a 13 plus 3 hit you?
Yes.
All right, you are going to take 4 points of slashing damage
Ow.
as this, still holding onto Dirk with one hand, just draws his weapon and slices right across your back, causing you to seize in air. Mira, is that your full turn?
Yeah, that's my
Beautiful, beautiful. Amira, you see this in front of you.
Who?
Amira?
Who's
Malia!
It's like, wait, I'm like looking over like,
Is there a
Who's
surprise
Amira?
guest we don't know about?
What's
going
going
on?
Malia, I can write and read my own handwriting.
So, seeing the lack of success, I'm going to, as I see him running back, I'm going to run forward and I'm not even going to really, is the cultist holding onto him? Or is he
Yes.
just tight? Is he just next
He's
to him?
he's got his bondage with his hand.
Okay, I'm going to try and rip him away,
Okay,
pull him away.
sure. Do it. Would you like to run up to him, I'm assuming? The one on Dirk?
Yes. Sorry, yes. So I'm
course.
running as he's, yeah.
As you rush up.
Strength check, yes.
Sure, yeah. You wanna push
I'm
him
trying
away.
to pull him back.
Yeah,
Would
sure.
would
Why don't you make a strength check against a contested strength check?
15. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
That's a natural 1.
Perfect. I'm going to rip him back. Oh, and like pull him away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to lock eyes with old fancy boy And then I'm going to glance over his shoulder, and I'm going to cast Spiritual Weapon so that when he turns around, there's a nice little mimicked warhammer coming straight for his face.
Why don't you roll to attack with that mimicked warhammer?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. It was all a ploy. I meant to do that. It definitely was just like a warning swing over his head, you know? Mm-hmm. I meant
What was the roll?
very intentional. It was a 9.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect. Would you like to move?
No, but I will give a little nudge free action to like go that way.
Okay. Then
Oh,
you are up, and Dirk, you're on deck.
Cool. So I am going to whip out my trusty boomerang.
Okay.
I am going to step 2 squares to the left. And I'm going to,
Cha-cha real smooth.
you know, as one does. 2 hops now, y'all. I'm going to pull back my arm like I'm going to throw my boomerang. And then instead, as my hand's out, I'm just going to Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to do.
Okay.
For the sake. So I'm gonna.
Ilk blows.
All right, so 16 plus whatever it is.
On the cultist?
5, yes. on the
Yes, that definitely hits. What does it look like?
Well, I'm I'm like straight up like about to like psych out with the boomerang. I never actually throw the boomerang. I never do. But I get it out all the time because it makes me happy. So I always like almost, and then with the hand that's out to like steady me, I just bloop. There's this green arc of green energy that with like no effort at all just goes and hopefully hits him square in the face.
Right in the face like a bad loogie.
Gross. Not like
welcome.
a loogie. That's disgusto, man.
I know that's your gross. That's your thing.
That's a gross as heck. Oh, I did roll, however, 1 damage. So maybe it is a little bit like a loogie. So a total of 4 damage.
Beautiful. He's looking pretty rough. You notice, so as this, he doesn't look like he has just a ton of health, of constitution. And as you launch your Eldritch Blast, it like catches him in the elbow and he nearly stumbles back into the lava. He looks behind him.
Damn. Maybe I should use the boomerang. Nah.
Next
Bonus
time.
action.
No. That's it. I'm
Dirk,
holding boomerang.
you are held. You do. Your hands are tied behind your back, but you
Okay.
do not have a cultist attached to you anymore.
So, am I at full movement?
Yeah.
Okay. I will get away from the lava, just a straight line away
What does that look
towards
like?
towards my gnomish friend. Probably just like, are his feet tied too, or just like
No. Just
his
your
arms?
hands.
He's gonna look like, and he's just gonna start scuttling over away. Straight down towards his pirate friend, and then from the ceiling, previously invisible, a sprite is going to appear and shoot a tiny arrow at the cultist that is holding his 2 other friends.
Okay. Make an attack roll for your sprite.
That's gonna be a 16.
That does hit.
Yeah, so it immediately takes 1 point of damage, and I need it to make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw.
It can do that, and it can fail with another natural 1.
What is it? What is it equal though?
Oh,
With the modifier.
Bad? 0? 1? It's a 1.
So, when a creature fails the saving throw with 5 or lower, it becomes poisoned and immediately falls unconscious for the next minute.
Holy moly.
Sprites!
So it is actually holding on to our dear friend Baloo. So, Baloo, make me a dexterity saving throw. The save is not super high.
All right.
Let's just see what happens.
He's poisoned, so he's terrible at holding things.
What is it? Is it natural 1?
Oh,
Oh no! We'll see what happens when it gets to your turn.
As a bonus action, as I see Okay, as I see my friends like apparently getting pulled back somehow into the lava from the sleeping person, I'm going to bonus action healing light, and I will give Baloo 1d6 of healing light.
Okay.
You get 5 more HP.
Retiring that dice. It's going in the counter.
Dice jail. I was not expecting that.
I thought I was so clever because now both of them are free.
Oh no! But the
you get
cultist
5
is gonna
HP.
fall into the lava. So just so you know.
Okay, that's my turn.
That brings us to the cultists. This first one is going to come. He's got his scimitar drawn, and he's going to come at you, Malia, not Amira. And I believe an 18 is going to hit you.
It meets.
Awesome. So on that, he's slashes his scimitar right down your arm. You're actually going to take 4 points of slashing damage, as he draws a scimitar down. You waves it threateningly in your face.
I will look him square in the face and I will say that was very, very rude. And my eyes will flash bright white, and he needs to make a dexterity saving throw.
Natural 1. Guys, what the hell? It's not
So-
Dreamcatcher, though. It's this one.
Shame you spent so much money on those two.
I did.
He's
I'm
gonna
not
take
offended.
8 points of thunder damage as lightning streaks down from seemingly nowhere, and just gonna like a little bit of
How would you like to do this, Malia?
with a smirk on my face.
You do so. Okay.
What you said?
I don't remember.
I think it
4
was
points of damage. Yes, 4 points of damage. You want to kick him back into the lava for flavor?
Of course I do.
You raise your the heel of your boot up and launch it square into his chest, and he goes flying back, already dead before he even hits the lava.
Who's next?
It is going to be the fire beetles who are next. One fire beetle is going to come at you, Baloo. And these things are tiny. They're not small. I mean, they're small, but they're actually kind of cute. Not gonna lie. They look like regular beetles, but they burn. Give off glowing. They have glands that glow and give off light. You know that sometimes miners and adventurers prize these creatures because the glands continue to shed light for up to 6 days after they die. Ha 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 ha. So it's going to crawl up you, and it's going to make a bite attack against you as it sinks its teeth into your skin. That's a 7 to hit, which I don't think
That will not hit.
So it tries to sink its teeth into you, and you want to describe it, or you want me to?
Go right ahead.
You just shake it off, like stinky leg shake it off. All right. That's going to bring us to this one on Nentar. I don't know. I think it's Nentir Vale that I keep trying to say. That's also a 6 to hit. I'm assuming that does not hit you.
That is a miss.
Awesome. So it starts to crawl up, and you're able to scuttle away. This last one is going to come up to you, Amira. Mother. No, everybody's name's different now. Malia. Last bite attack. Natural 2. I'm putting this one in dice jail. And that is going to bring us to Baloo.
So am I falling off a cliff? Is that what I
That's a
understand?
really good question. That's a really good question. Make a strength check for me.
Alrighty. Oh, and I just realized I should have done it last turn. I have luck. I should have just re-rolled that. 20 total.
Okay. So you feel some sort of almost a divine intervention as you what happened was, as he was falling, he fell unconscious. This cultist's hand stuck between yours and it starts to pull you back. And I don't know if anybody's ever had their hands tied behind their back, but that pull behind you, it's really disorienting, and you find yourself being dragged backwards, and you can feel the magma, the heat of it singeing your back, and you're able to just yank yourself off the ledge. What would you like to do?
Am I able to yank him forward too, so he doesn't fall in the lava?
I would say with that first natural one, no.
Okay. Then I am going to... You said the beetles are really small, right?
They're small creatures. They're not tiny. They're
Oh.
giant beetles. They're like this big.
Okay.
They're the size of a watermelon.
Then I'm going to try and stomp on it and then make a run for it.
Why don't you do that for me, please?
All right.
Make a stomp check.
Unarmed strike of 16.
That will do it, and I'm sure that your unarmed strike will kill them. So you go
3
ahead.
damage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
What does it look like? Below?
Well, as I'm tilting forward, just like, ooh, that couldn't have been bad. And then just zip right forward.
Fire gut beetles spray out each side as you begin to run forward. Are you running just
Towards the other beetle.
Okay. You see this fire snake just to the left of you. Can y'all see that on the screen? I don't think so.
No.
Nah. Oh, towards the other beetle. Oh, towards Nintar?
Yes.
Ah, I see what you're talking about. Okay. All right. That is going to bring us to the fire snakes. The fire snakes are just minding their own business. They are just hanging out. Y'all have disturbed them. So we've got 2 on the board. They're going to... I can't even read that die. It's a natural 19 on you, Baloo. For a total of 5 points... I'm sorry, 3 points of piercing and 3 points of fire. So this fire snake begins to wrap itself around your legs and slides up and actually sinks its teeth right into your thigh. And where it does, your clothing, your trousers begin to burn away. Isn't that nice?
Lovely. It's like a warm hug.
It is like a warm hug. This fire snake is going to go in a random direction as determined by this die roll. He's going to go over here to chomp on the remains of this fire beetle. Okay, that's going to bring us to Nintar.
Okay, Nintar is going to look at what's going on right now, and he looks to Baloo and yes, I have to step away this way, yes, and he will disengage and go diagonally next to the other warlock over here.
Next to the other warlock.
Yeah, next to Ven.
Next to Ven. Okay, so you're going to take the disengage action and go over here?
Correct.
Beautiful. And then at the end of your turn, you watch out of this pile of magma that there is some sort of disturbance, some sort of unnatural, strange, almost portal-like spot of the magma right here. And out of it, you watch appears a massive fire elemental. Boom, boom. It lets out a guttural, low roar, beckoning you, challenging you, daring you. Benson.
Oh, right there.
The fire elemental within 5 feet of Baloo.
Yes. I would say about 10 feet.
Okay. I'm going to take a shot at the fire beetle next to Baloo.
Okay.
I rolled 21 on the short bow to
That
hit.
will... Oh, yes, that does hit.
8 piercing, 3 sneak attack damage for 11 total.
What does it look like as you absolutely obliterate this beetle?
I imagine that the camera follows the arrow perfectly, like something out of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. The beetle turns, thinks back to its beetle family, its beetle life, its beetle children. It had just finished paying off its student loans. It just got out of debt and was going to start a new life here, working for these religious sect, masked individuals. They were offering good wages, fair wages, and then it's obliterated.
But did they give dental?
Great dental. The best dental. Kaboom. And so our story begins a tragedy.
I hate you. Okay. I'm so lost after that description. All right. Is that your turn?
Yes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move next to the fire snake that is next to Baloo. And I'm going to
Would you like to be quote unquote flanking?
Yeah,
Okay.
might as well. And with that, I think that's it for me.
That's a beautiful turn. Malia.
So I have a beetle. I'm going to give the beetle a glance.
Also have your spiritual weapon still up.
Yes, I'm going to give the beetle a glance, and I'm going to turn. And as I turn, the spiritual weapon will come down as my bonus action on the beetle. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should have paid more attention though, because that's a 7. So I assume everything's fine, and I'm going to start walking.
It's like a fly swatter, and you just keep missing. Chuk, chuk,
It's fine. I assume it hit, and I'm already walking.
Roll
so
damage. Will you roll damage for me?
Sure.
It's a D.A.
Yes. Oh, God, of course I rolled well. 9!
All right. It smacks a floor in the magma. Or smacks a hole in that magma floor right there. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. Since you were not paying attention.
I was not paying attention.
Do better than last time. You had to.
13?
Okay, so you are not paying attention. You start to walk, and you feel the ground start to give beneath you, and you're able to take a few steps away. And you watch as just behind you, all of this magma right here. I'm gonna draw it with my little thing. All of this magma right here begins to fall away. And this is all gone.
Oh. Is the beetle flying?
It's gone.
Oh.
Oh.
That was what I was planning the whole
You heard-
time. I assume it was all very, very fantastic success. I'm going to keep walking. What was that?
My mortgage. Whatever.
God.
God.
Okay, I'm going to I am going to go. You know what? I had a plan. I'm going to start walking like slow motion. All the confidence in the world, clearly. And I'm going to glance at this. Actually, oh yeah, I'm going to glance to this fire elemental, and I'm just going to say, flee. And I'm going to cast command.
Is that on a humanoid?
It is on a creature.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Where's Dreamcatcher?
Don't do it.
Aw, Dreamcatcher rolled in your favor. It must like you.
It's not a high save.
What's
so.
the save? Wisdom?
Well, yeah, wisdom.
Okay, that is a failure.
So it's going to spend its turn moving away from me by the fastest available means. And I am going to twirl my warhammer as I continue to approach old big boy.
All right. Dirk Dingus.
Blue, I am so sorry. That was not intentional. Spriggles, we gotta be more careful. And with that, Dirk will wave his hands a little bit, and he's going to cast what's it called? Sacred Flame on the fire beetle right next to Baloo.
Okay, that's a dexterity saving throw. What's the... Oh,
It's a 13.
it's a natural 20.
The one next to Baloo is already dead, though. I thought.
It is. You're right. Thank you so much. Y'all. I'm...
Would have been a salamander then, but yeah.
How about
but
let's
it's
just do the... Yeah, let's do the fire snake.
Yeah.
I'll re-roll because I'm a nice dungeon master. It's a natural
Hey.
19.
Well, there you go.
Apparently not that
And-
nice.
It's like, he's gonna rush over to Ven and names Nintar. So to the left, away from the encroaching wave of lava.
Yes.
And seeing Malia not seeming to notice, just her eyes on the prize, I'm like, Malia, there is a wave of lava behind you.
All right. Is that your whole turn?
And yeah, that's all my whole turn.
Beautiful, beautiful. It is the beetle's turn, but there's only
Bam.
one left. What?
You skipped my
I'm
turn.
I did skip your turn. I'm so sorry. It's because I hate you. What's your turn?
I mean, obviously. I'm just gonna come downstairs and beat you up.
Do it. What's your turn?
My turn. Thank you for asking. Clearly this is more than my boomerang can handle. So I put my boomerang away. Bring out my slingshot. And again, I don't do anything with the slingshot. It just makes me feel better. I am going to say, well, now it's a party. And I am going to turn to the big ol' not the big old guy, because he's going in the other direction. Malia's scared it off. She has that presence. I'm assuming it was her facial expression. And I'm going to just Eldritch Blast the salamander by my buddies.
Why don't you roll to attack?
I will roll to attack.
Tell me what this looks like.
It doesn't look like much. I attempt to mime a because that's a 11. I attempt to mime like I'm gonna Eldritch Blast with the slingshot, but my timing is really off, and I'm thrown off by it, and this Eldritch Blast just goes like, I miss it by like 2 degrees, and it just sails off into nowhere. And I put it back in the bag. This is not a good party.
No, it's not. It is the beetle's turn. This beetle is going to flee. It's going to go down off the side. You don't quite see where it goes after that because it's a beetle and it's on the side of the underside of the lava, underside of the rock, and begins to, as you imagine, scuttle away in the presence of this massive fire elemental. That's gonna bring us to Baloo.
Can I, even though my hands are tied, lay on hands myself?
Of course you can. You are
I'm
free
going
to touch yourself, Baloo.
I will touch myself for 10 points of healing.
Okay.
All right.
Any bonus?
And then I'm... What?
Any bonus action?
Yes. I'm going to lean over to Benson and be like, if you can get me out of here, I will buy the first round of drinks. And give him Bardus Inspiration.
Okay. Is that a D6 for you right now?
Yes.
Beautiful. That's gonna bring us to the snake. Snake. This snake is gonna come down. He's just gonna meander around. He is quite. You notice that these snakes are quite pleased to see this fire elemental. This is their family. They're good buds. This fire snake is gonna turn to Benson and is gonna come at you with their bite attack. But I don't think that a natural 3 is going to hit you. So as it misses, it curls around your feet and it's going to make a tail attack. And I'm assuming a 22 does hit you.
No. Yes, it does.
So as its tail comes up and smacks you actually in the backside, it's going to deal 3 points of damage to your tailbone and light the back of your shirt on fire and give you an additional 3 points of fire damage.
Oh,
It's your good shirt, too.
they're all good shirts.
And that is the snake's turn, which will bring us to Nintar.
Nintar is going to try to slip out of his bonds.
Okay. Go ahead and make, would you like to make a sleight of hand check for this?
Sure.
Okay.
Helps if the die doesn't fall off the table. And that would be a 13 plus 2, so 15.
I would say that you've got pretty skinny arms. You're able to, and this was not a very well tied knot. You could have done so much better. You begin to just wriggle out, and you're able to pull yourself free. It does give you a little bit of a rope burn on your wrist, which is unpleasant, but you're able to slip out.
And with that, he will then move to the other side of the 2 warlocks, kind of rubbing his wrists. You do something. He waves at them.
You do something.
Oh,
All right.
sure, yeah.
The elemental is going to take their first turn.
Actually gonna run. 'Cause
You
man,
are so right. They're going to take their first turn and they're going to run.
Bye.
They're gonna run their full speed, which is 50 feet. Which is
Malia's mean mugging it.
I mean mug everyone.
That's
Don't take it
true.
personally.
It's like frozen that way these days.
It begins to run along the side of this stone ledge. Its form just igniting everything around it. It's letting out a groan of frustration. It doesn't understand why it's running. That's gonna bring us back to Benson.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the disengage bonus action as
Okay.
a rogue. I'm going to shimmy over to Baloo, and I'd like to. Is removing the ropes or cutting the ropes interacting with an object? Regardless, I just want my action to cut him free, and then use the remainder of my move to keep backing away from the fire snake.
Sure, yeah. I'll say that's easily a turn. I will even say if you'd like to take an action on your turn, you may.
Okay. Then I'd like to stab the fire snake in its effing face.
Why don't you stab the fire snake in its effing face?
All right. I rolled a 24 to hit with my rapier.
Yes, that does hit.
All right. And that is going to be is Baloo still next to it?
He is
or-
engaged, yes. He
Okay.
would get sneak attack.
That's going to be 5 points piercing, 5 points sneak attack for 10 total.
All right, what does this look like as you bloody this creature when one hit?
I imagine I stab and pierce, puncturing its scaly hide, and then magma begins to ooze out of it as I remove my blade. And then the intention was to finish my movement and back away. I should have 10 feet.
I'm moving the wrong person. This is you.
Yeah. So kind of get over there, cut him free, puncture the snake, and then back up, musketeer fashion.
How's that?
As soon as it updates, that's good. I'd be moving closer towards the party members, though.
Oh, closer to the party members? Okay.
Yes, the club. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Malia.
So I'm going to, as I watch the fire elemental leave, of course he did, I'm going to look at this fire snake as though to say, and when it doesn't react, my spiritual weapon is going to fly through the air. Think like Thor's hammer. It's just going to go straight for its head. And we'll see if maybe the spiritual weapon actually hits something this time.
Why don't you roll?
Okay. All right. 21.
That hits.
7 points of damage.
Okay. This, basically, the hammer swings tail overhead, like Thor's hammer, and smacks this fire elemental right in the back, right in this long, spiny thing that it has going on back there. And you hear crack, 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 and the fire element, or the fire snake lets out a horrifying scream. Ah! You like that? I practiced
No,
that
I
one.
don't.
It's still alive.
Well, that's very rude. Can I... Is everybody untied at this point?
At this point,
I'm not.
Dirk is not. But he's
Get
surrounded by
around.
You're
people.
very far away. You're fine. You're safe. I'm not worried about you.
I'm not.
You're fine. It's okay. Everything's fine. Just...
Okay.
I will raise my hammer. I'm actually going to be moving closer to the fire snake, but I'm just going to raise my hammer as though I'm going to do something with it, but I'm just going to concentrate and close my eyes for a second. And then when I open them, they are bright white, and I'm going to cast Sacred Flame at the...
Unfortunately, that is going to be a 17 on the die for the save. I'm so sorry.
Oh. That's my... I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to get within melee after casting.
Okay.
So that I'm... Yeah. And I'm kind of watching both. So I would be like right underneath it on the map. Yeah.
Yeah. Ven, what would you like to do? At this point, you can start to see the fire elemental beginning to slow, and they look like they're going to start turning back around. You're muted.
I thought I unmuted. All right, it's fine. DM, I have a question.
Yes.
If I were to take one of my handy dandy, actually pointy things, and free my good warlock buddy Dirk, or my patron pal, would that be a
Free object interaction.
hot diggity dang? All right, cool. So I'm going to spin around, be like, don't move. It's fine. Don't move. It's fine. Don't move. It's fine. I'm going to take my dagger and I'm going to untie his bonds. And then I'm going to, everybody's around all the cool stuff, So I'm just going to, I've got some cool things, but everybody's too close right now. So I'm just going to turn to the other unoccupied fire snake and cast Shatter at him.
Oh, okay.
2nd level. And he has to make a Constitution saving throw of a super high 13.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
Super high 13.
Their con mod is a 0.
13?
Dreamcatcher fucked you, I'm sorry.
Dreamcatcher can go down.
Half damage.
So, yeah, it takes half damage. It's fine. So it's 3d8 thunder damage.
Thunder!
Oh, that's an 8 and a 5. And that hopped out. 8, 5.
What does this look like as Shatter is cast on this fire snake?
What's 885? 885 is 21, I think.
Yeah.
So half of that is 10.
Oh, this is the untouched one. I lied. You were not killing it yet. You have bloodied it. Congratulations.
Cool. He it's just a really big bang. It's a very, very loud explosion. I have everyone's attention now. This is a party about myself.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna whack my patron pal on the back and say, "Get him, Tiger. It's your turn."
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
Rubbing his hands to get the circulation back into his hands. You guys hear a tiny voice from over the lava yell, "Turkey, tell the joke I told you!" And Dirk goes, "Sprinkles, there are ladies present. That is not appropriate." And he will turn to the fire snake that was just shattered, and he will cast another sacred flame at them.
But wait, Sprinkles, what was the joke?
That's a natural 9.
Okay, that's going to be 5 points of radiant damage.
This is on which one? The one on the left?
The one that was just shattered left.
Okay. You said 5 points of damage?
5 points of radiant.
Beautiful. He's looking toasty.
Ooh, these guys are tough. All right. And yeah, Dirk will put himself like in front of Ben.
Okay. Like in front of, or between Ben
And the fire snake, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So one thing up.
Okay. One more right here.
Just right where you were. Is right where I am
I
on.
had it.
Exactly.
That brings us to Baloo.
I'm going to look over at the fire elemental that's slowing down and go, "Keep fleeing!" and cast command as
Oh
well.
my gosh. Natural
DC
20.
13. Oh, son of-
Sorry.
I believe I already bonus actioned
That's good.
Benson, so I can't do that. Yeah, that's it.
All right. It's these last two snakes' turn. These snakes are on their last leg, but you know what? These snakes they're prepared to go down with the ship, as they say. That's a natural 20 on Malia for the bite attack. Malia, you actually, as you step forward, you stepped on this creature's tail, and that pissed it the fuck off. This creature turns around and like an actual snake, comes around and latches itself onto your leg. You're gonna take 6 points of piercing damage as it takes a huge chunk out, and then you're singed as well, so that's an additional 6 points of fire damage.
So how much was the first?
6 total, or 6 plus 6, so 12 total.
So
Oh,
9 total.
you're reduced. That's right. So 9 total.
Okay.
Because of your
I would
tiefling
like
heritage.
to.
I was just gonna say because of your tiefling heritage, the fire doesn't do as much damage to you.
I would like to kick it away with hellish rebuke.
Okay. Spiritual weapon, hellish rebuke. Oh wait, you're not a warlock. You're
There's
you're
a reaction.
It's a reaction.
That's right. Go ahead.
Hellish rebuke fire damage.
It is.
Yeah.
We'll see how this is effective.
It was an instinct. She's not thinking about it.
Fair.
It is a dex save.
Doesn't matter.
Oh. Okay. I'm not. Why are you making me roll?
I wasn't gonna.
Okay.
It does. You watch as the fire actually seems to kind of like tickle it, and it starts to almost giggle with joy.
That's very strange. Very unnerving.
Beautiful. Nintar. Oh, this second snake is going to make its attack. It's going to come up to you, Dirk.
All right.
It's going to make 2 attacks on you. The first one is actually going to be a 6, so I'm assuming does not hit you, but the second one is a 14 with its
That will
tail
hit.
attack. So it reaches out to bite, and you're able to just jump out of the way, and then that tail comes around to wrap up your legs, and it's going to you're going to take to your kneecap 3 points of bludgeoning damage as its hard tail collides with the top of your knee, and then an additional 5 points of fire damage as its body seems to radiate and burn.
Ooh, that hurt. Okay.
Nintar.
Nintar places his thumbs together, his middle finger and his index fingers, and then pulls them apart, and 3 little green orbs appear between his fingers. 2 of them go streaking toward the fire snake in front of Mr. Dingus, and the other one to the fire snake that hurt our priest.
Okay.
And that's magic missiles.
Beautiful.
So-
What are your that's what I love your description of the magic missiles. Please go ahead with your damage rolls.
So the 2 that hit the one with Dingus both slam center mass, doing a total of 8 points of force damage.
And how much on the other one?
And then the other one takes 5.
How would you like to do this for both of them?
So the one that just attacked Dingus, Nintar doesn't even look up. He's just kind of fascinated with the way his fingers are reacting to each other. The 2 slam into the one next to Dingus, spinning it around, sending it across the ground. And then the other one, while it's laughing about the fire, takes the force bolt right down the throat, and it explodes from the inside.
Beautiful. And at the end of your turn, is that all you like to do on your turn? Do you have a bonus action?
He is going to continue to just stand there looking at the glowing on his fingers.
This fire elemental takes its movement to come back. You have pissed it off. It is not. It is here to play.
You and me both, bitch.
Flee!
So what's actually going to happen now? It's always good when your DM says that, isn't it? It's going to move into, well, I guess it wouldn't be able to get as far back as it would. So it can only get to right here with its action. Or with its movement. So let's just say it's right there. So let's go to Benson. Benson, you've got this fire elemental coming right up on you. It's not stopping. It looks like it's about to engulf you. What are you going to do?
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bonus action to Second Wind.
Okay. These
So
are both
D10
gone.
plus my level, that's 8 hit points back.
Beautiful.
Net 19. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my movement action to back up 30 feet.
Okay.
And
So
then,
30 feet would take back up towards the bottom of the map.
yeah. Or
That's Baloo.
Oh my god, why do I keep doing this? Okay, yes,
Rather-
back up 30 feet.
yeah, I'll back up 30 feet. Yeah, that might also change the description a little bit. So it's coming at blue and towards me. So
Yeah.
I'm backing up as far as I can. for my move, and then I'm going to shoot at it with my short bow.
Why don't you do that?
All right. 21 to hit.
That does hit this fire elemental with your short bow.
9 points of piercing, and if it's engaged with Baloo, an
It
additional
is.
6 points for sneak attack.
What does this look like?
My arrows engulfed into a swirl of flames, and I doubt that I've done little more than annoy this great and majestic elemental being. However, I do hope that it remembers me after it slays me. But remember, I was the one that put up a fight.
Noted. Malia.
I'm going to actually take a few steps back. I say this is not helping you. I don't know why I'm doing that. Down the map, I'm closer to my party. I'm not going quite back all the way to them. And I'm going to yell at Baloo to back up. Get back. Actually, no. I'm gonna say back up. But as I'm doing that, my spiritual weapon is gonna try to bash him on the head.
Please do that.
Ooh, 20 something, 3.
Yes, ma'am, that hits.
Oh god, that was very sad damage. 3.
The Warhammer sinks through this fire elemental's form, and as it comes out the other side, flames lick off of the metal. It doesn't look like it's done damage, but you know that it has. It was not super. It was not very
I'm going
effective.
to hold my action.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hold blur. I'm also gonna hold shatter. No, I'm not. I can't do that. I lied. I'm not doing any of those things.
What do you do for your action?
I am. I can't read things, guys. I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame because I did read carefully. Dex save.
Oh, that's gonna be a 14.
Yeah, you're good.
I got a +3 dex. Okay. Then.
Cool. So I'm going to use my bonus action to wiggle my fingers and blow a very dark kiss and cast Hex on this dear whatchamacallit.
El Diablo de Fuego.
Yeah, this guy. And so he'll just take an extra 1d6 when I smile and say, let's turn up the music. And I snap my fingers and cast Toll the Dead.
Oh, whoa.
So that means that wisdom saving throw of it says 10, but I feel like it should be 13.
It should be your casting.
It's your
thing.
casting. Either way, it was a 6 on the die and a 0 intelligence modifier, so that's a failure either way.
And it's already taken damage.
It is,
so
so roll your d12.
And so that's a 12. So it takes 12 points of sick music damage that only it can hear.
Do you get to add your hex damage
And
to it?
also the hex, because I did that too. I just cast it like 30 seconds ago. I completely forgot. It's fine. That's an additional 4 points of damage.
Beautiful. You guys, you get the sense that you are wearing this fire elemental down. Its form is starting to become less corporeal and more just licks of flame. Whereas previously it had an arm and arms, a torso, and a head. It's starting to lose its shape. That's gonna bring us to Dirk.
Can't handle the beat.
All right. Spriggles is going to yell, well, if you don't do the good one, at least do one of the other ones. And Dirk goes, all right. All right, how'd that go? All right, wow, that's a fat ass. I guess those behind you are getting cover for this fight. and I cast Vicious Mockery on it.
That was amazing.
DC
We won.
13
I think
wisdom.
we won. I think that's how this works.
I think that's worthy of inspiration.
If the DM can't breathe, then we win the fight by default.
What's the save on it?
DC 13 wisdom.
That's a failure.
All right, I will do my D4. 3 psychic damage, and its next attack has disadvantage.
That's right, it does.
And Dirk's,
Wow.
Dirk's gonna back up a little bit. Well, no, actually, nah. He will use 2d6 of healing on himself and stay in front of his friends. So he's gonna heal. Ooh, double
What's
six.
that 2d6 from?
He's a celestial warlock,
Beautiful.
so he's using healing light.
To
So
the-
he got 12 extra HP, all max.
All maxed out. After Dirk is the Baloo.
Baloo's gonna clap his hands together in front of his face and cast Thunder Wave.
Okay.
I need a con save 13.
Con save 20.
Then
Half damage.
I'm just gonna say, yeah, half damage.
3d8. If I'm not
That's
mistaken.
9.
9. Is that halved already?
No.
Okay, 9 reduced to 4.
Yeah. And then I'm going to, I guess, walk backwards 10 feet.
What does it look like as you do your thunder wave?
He just claps right in front of his face, right in front of the elemental's face as well, to try and like stun him and push him back.
This massive boom echoes out through the chambers. You watch as from the ceiling, rocks begin to fall, crashing into the lava in the center. You're going to provoke an attack of opportunity as you back away?
Mhm.
But this attack is a
But
disadvantage.
Melee wanted me to get out of the way.
A disadvantage is a natural 1!
Yes!
Okay, so on that natural 1, it can't fall prone, y'all. It can't do that. It's immune to prone.
I'll
But-
take the missed attack.
We'll take the missed attack. Nintar. Mother. Words are hard.
Words are difficult. So Nintar looks up and, oh, you all are doing absolutely amazing. And he starts to move some sand in the middle of his palms, and then he blows the sand toward the fire elemental, attempting to put it to sleep.
Ooh, woo, 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 woo. Can you? I have not actually had anybody use sleep on me as a DM. Whatever. Go ahead and read me you roll some number of hit points.
You roll some number of hit points, and basically, if it's above, and I'm upcasting at 2nd level,
Okay, go ahead and roll.
so I am rolling 7d8.
All right, let's see if you can beat how many hit points it has.
Hey, that's not bad.
We're all waiting in suspense.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
41.
41.
Oh my god!
Now,
40 hit points!
question
Amazing.
though,
Answer though.
elementals have certain condition
They
immunity
do.
sometimes.
They do.
What
No.
condition does sleep cause?
Exhaustion, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, and unconscious.
That was such a great idea, though.
Oh.
I just wanted to give you that sense of fulfillment before I broke your heart.
That's all right.
It worked. It worked. I'm
it did
fairly
work.
heartbroken. I was very impressed.
So go ahead and make an intelligence check for me.
On who?
You,
Nintar.
yeah, an Nintar.
So that's a 19.
I would say you would know that sleep would not affect this creature, so you could pull back that spell slot
okay.
if you'd like.
Well, all right. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll do that.
All right. Would you like to do something else instead? You see, in your,
Instead, I'll just fire magic missiles.
okay, in your head, you see this scenario playing out, and you think about how cool it would be to have this creature just fall right to sleep, and then you're like, oh shit, wait, fuck. Magic missile instead.
So what he does is he raises up his hand, and the missiles that were amongst the bodies of the fire snakes pop up out of the snakes and fly toward the fire elemental.
Well, now I don't know how many hit points it has left.
11 damage.
Okay. It is continuing to lose more and more of its form, struggling to stay put together, aka me most days. That's gonna bring us to the elemental's turn. Malia, you look the snarkiest of all of these creatures, so it's gonna fly up to you. It's actually gonna come into your space. And it's going to stop there. The first time enters creature space on a turn. Yep, you're gonna take 5 points of fire damage, reduced to 2, and you are gonna catch fire. So you will take 3 points every turn until you use an action to put it out. Okay. It is going to continue moving to Ven, and it is going to make its touch attack on you.
At what?
Yeah. It's a 21 to hit
Yeah, maybe.
and a 19 to hit.
I got yeah.
All right, ma'am. You're going to take a total from the whole attack as it reaches out and just slashes at you in the air, a total of 20 points of fire damage.
Oh, hey, that's not. I'm not.
You are also on fire.
Give me like my sick dance moves, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
You are ignited on fire. Until you take an action to douse it, you are going to take fire damage each turn.
At the beginning or end of her turn. This
The
could be important.
start.
Oh.
It's great. This is one. That's okay. Sure. Should be fun.
Okay.
This is a great time. It's a
Benson, it is your go.
Great. Benson would like to engage the fire elemental and swing with his rapier.
Okay.
He's going to use Bardic Inspiration that he still has
Mhm.
to assist. With that, he gets a dirty 20 to hit.
That will land.
11 points of piercing, 4 points for the sneak attack. And then bonus action would like to take a stab with his dagger.
Okay.
23 to hit.
That
5
does hit.
piercing.
5 points of damage.
Mhm.
Okay. This fire elemental is looking very, very rough. If it had legs, it would be on its last leg. You notice it is starting to try and retreat and kind of pull back. Malia, what would you like to do?
I would like to look at the fire on me and then look back at it because priorities. And I would like my spiritual weapon to make another beautiful reappearance, again, hopefully hitting, and try to go for the weakest, because you said it was starting to lose its shape. So wherever it looks like it's the shapiest, natural 20.
Your warhammer comes down, appearing out of nowhere. Everybody in the room had forgotten it, including the fire elemental. It comes down, grows 3 times in size, comes down right on top of the fire elemental, landing on the ground with a thunderous crash. The fire elemental scatters to the wind, and you are all left breathless, victorious.
Nintar will blow the fire out on Ven.
I was gonna say
Decapitation.
victorious and on fire. Oh,
I'm going to brush the fire off of me, and while doing so, cast Cure Wounds. myself.
Benson's gonna run up to Baloo and like jump up to chest bump him, but probably like very awkward. He just goes, "No, remember, drinks are on you." And I'm like,
I will remember.
I like this blouse a lot.
I start prestidigitating to make it appear less burnt, and then I will do mending to try and repair it.
So glad you
Thank
took
you.
those, because I definitely did not.
Thank you, Dirk. This is why we're patron pals.
Benson rolls in the dirt like a chinchilla. He's like, "Oh, I like the filth."
What are you doing? Why? Why? No.
I mean, it is volcanic, so it's very organic.
Okay. Hey, what are the chances that a fire elemental has something more than like ash on it? I mean,
did I know you were gonna ask?
you're muted, DM, but all of the cultists are in lava right now. So if there's anything,
That's right.
yeah,
Why don't you make an investigation check?
cool. You know, that's a 10.
Not only did it leave behind ash, but it also left behind dust.
Great.
And everyone's favorite smell, sulfur.
Yes.
I feel so fulfilled.
Yes.
There might be a couple snakeskin boots you could make.
Oh, those would be.
They'd be red and everything.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can somebody please explain what we're doing here?
Well, we were supposed to kill the monsters, and I think we did it.
Relax.
Really?
Just check that off the list. It's fine.
Were these the right monsters?
Oh,
I mean,
I don't know. They left in the middle of the night, and I just followed them.
who decided that was a good idea?
I think it was Dirk.
Dirk.
What?
We've talked about this.
But, and he looks
No.
towards Blue.
Dirk, we've talked about this.
I can teach you how to whistle if you really want to know how.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
What did we talk about? I feel like I'm very confused about
Cannot
many things.
Just go. I feel like you are always leading people out randomly, usually not this much into danger.
I mean, Spriggles is a bit of a naughty influence, but you know, I try to be good.
I'm gonna look up. Do I see Sprinkles?
Spriggles has gone invisible.
I know you're there.
There's a raspberry right beside of your ear.
No.
But like for real, I would love some fire snake boots. Those
So,
would be amazing.
were there any other monsters we were supposed to kill? Do we know if this was like what we were actually? Was this it? Do we know?
Make an intelligence check.
Well, okay.
I'm not gonna.
Nintar's making like sketch scenes of the entire battlefield.
13.
This sounded like the problem they were having.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, when we were captured, did we notice them talking about anything? The cultists? Did they seem in league?
Yeah,
With-
they seem to be like they were part of an organization that is trying to bring elemental chaos into the world, and they have been working on summoning this fire elemental and to terrorize this dwarven settlement so that
Bummer
they could
for
have
them.
all of the gold for themselves.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I'm just over by the fire snakes, trying to figure out how to skin the snakes without also dying. It's not going very well, but I'm attempting.
You, after a few minutes, you come back, your hands and arms are covered in burns, like you got into a fight with a really hot pizza.
Then do you need cure? Do you need healing?
Why? Why are you
Yes.
like this?
I'm gonna cure wounds on you.
Thank you.
Be 9 or 7.
Oh, thank you.
So, our heroes are once again victorious somehow, some way, managed to get through this fight without looking too much worse for wear. Congratulations, guys! You did it! You beat the one shot!
Yeah.
Yeah!
I was on 2 health points for a little while.
I was a little worried at one point.
I was bloodied.
See, bloodied is a nice. I like using it. I like using that word. I like having that terminology. It sounds. It's so visceral, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You are so
fun.
welcome. Thank y'all for coming out and hanging out with us. I had a great time watching y'all be inventive and making this combat really fun. I had a good time playing through this combat. I hope y'all did too.
Mhm.
And I hope our friends watching did as well. If you're watching this, please give Hoda a follow. It's for free. Please give Open for Adventure a follow. It's also for free. We are super excited about this partnership that Hoda and Open for Adventure have. We have a lot of differences, a lot of ways that we can all grow from each other. And this stream, this channel, or this show is one way that we can do that. Bringing together people who would not even hang out normally to kind of, come and talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Because, we all love to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I want to give a super special shout out to Campaign Coins for sponsoring Open for Adventure. And we're going to go through our outros, obviously, in a moment. But I want to give a super special thank you to Grant Ellis for coming to hang out with us. He is so awesome. We are so lucky to have him. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and sign off in reverse order. We'll start with Connor.
Oh, sure. Okay. So yeah, again, I am Connor. You can find me in Hoda Campaign 1 on Tuesday nights, and you can also see me also on the Hoda Twitch on Sunday evenings, 6:30 PST in the Ages Past campaign.
And Shadow.
I'm Shadow. I'm on season 2 of Hoda and at Botchfied on YouTube.
Thanks, Shadow. John.
John, the Chubby Kobold. I run a game on Mondays on the Hoda channel, and I also play in the Hoda Season 2. This Monday, we will be playing Weeby Goblins as a one-shot.
I love Weeby Goblins! Oh, now you're streaming at the same time as Open for Adventure!
Sorry. And we have all 5 of the Weeby Goblins adventures, so we will be running them all at some point.
My heart just broke. It's fine. Thanks, John. Go ahead, Kate.
So, hi, I'm Kate. You can find me on Twitter and everywhere else important at Very Pale Ale. You can find me Monday evenings with the rest of these lovely ladies and a couple other people too on the Open for Adventure. And this was a blast and a half, no pun intended.
Thanks, Kate.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Mindy. You can find me on Twitter at MKAY1713. You can also find me on Mondays with Open for Adventure. Yeah, tonight was a lot of fun, guys. All the fire.
And Grant, I'll go ahead and let you go.
Sure. Goodbye. No.
Oh, bye.
So my name is Grant Ellis. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games. I am the Twitch producer of WebDM's Twitch channel. I'm on a lot of streamed games. Follow me on Twitter at WisePapaGrant to figure that out. I have a Kickstarter launching next month through 2C Gaming. It is a dark fairy tale campaign setting. So if you like things like 1980s Jim Henson movies like The Dark Crystal or Labyrinth, it's kind of that feel and vibe. We have a lot of cool artists working on it. And I spent the past year of my life building up to the Kickstarter, so check it out.
Thank you so much, Grant. Please go check out his Kickstarter. Grant, can you link us in the chat, please?
There's no link yet.
No link yet. Okay, never mind. Don't link us then. And I'm Camille. I run the Open for Adventure channel, and I DM over there. Super excited to DM for all of you lovely people. Y'all are all amazing. You can find me on Twitter at CamilleDoesDND, and you can find Open for Adventure at Open for Adventure on Twitter. This has been a blasty blast. Y'all have a good night. Ooh, I don't think my credits will work here.